Уважаемые дамы и господа,
Dear ladies and gentlemen, well, I don't think it will be correct to start this session without a representative of the Ministry of Finance, but I hope he will be joining us. But for us to fill this pause, I think we'd better start. We will not discuss the most serious issues without the representative from the Ministry of Finance. But still, let us begin. And also, I encourage that you use the Wi-Fi access. So here on the table, you can see the name of the Wi-Fi network and the password. It's important to be connected because we are in the basement, on the basement floor, and mobile coverage is not very good. So please be connected. I'll explain why. Because if you download the application, it is available in the Google Play and App Store. I insist that you do it. If you download it, you'll be able to participate in the voting, because your opinion is important for the Ministry of Finance. If you vote, we can assemble certain statistics. So we will be voting as we discuss various things, somewhere in the beginning, in the middle, and in the end of the session. One voting question each time. It's important for me to know your opinion, because we're going to discuss interesting things. I hope more people will join us as we go. Well, there'll be video broadcasting, and later on you'll be able to see it and find this session on the website. So if you decide to go elsewhere, but then later see what we discuss here today, you'll have a chance to do this. As we discuss OSAGO, this is third-party liability insurance. Let me explain the main topic of our session in greater detail. OSAGO, it is very relevant. It's a big market. It's part of the economy. Probably not the greater part, it's not oil, but it is very sensitive for individuals. There are a lot of car owners among us, people who love cars. And so we have individuals and we have the government. So what better synergy could we think about? So we will discuss the insurance market in the car industry, because there are still issues and conflicts, legal conflicts in this area, which we will discuss and try to find solutions, so to be able to find better understanding as we interact, as the government and the individuals interact in this area, or as we work in various paperwork. I hope this discussion will help us. Here are the participants of the session. Let me start with the host of the forum, Deputy Minister of Finance of the Russian Federation, Alexei Moiseev. Alexei Vladimirovich, good afternoon. Anatoly Aksakov, Chairman of the Committee on the Financial Market of the State Duma of the Federal Assembly of the Russian Federation. Nikolai Zhuravlev, First Deputy Chairman of the Committee on Budget and Financial Markets of the Federation Council. Oh, Nikolai is not here yet. Sorry, it was a mistake. I've just come from Vladivostok and my voice is down, so please forgive me for possible mistakes. Igor Yurgens, President of the All-Russian Union of Insurers, President of the Russian Union of Car Insurance, President of the Self-Regulatory Organization in the Insurance Market, and President of the National Union of Liability Insurance. He understands a lot about insurance. Well, probably not everything, so that he has some room for improvement still. Well, I'm sure all of you want to know his opinion. Nikolai Kuzin, Nikolai Asaul, Deputy Minister of Transport of the Russian Federation, is with us today. Igor Zhuk, Director of the Insurance Market Department of the Bank of Russia. We certainly want to know the opinion of the regulator. Sergei Turnikov, Director General of Glove Struck Control, President of the Association for the Protection of Insurers, and Sergei Kanaev, Head of the Public Movement, Federation of Russian Car Owners. Also, Alexei Yanin, Managing Director for insurance companies rating of expert RA agency. So we have great speakers today. But before we start the discussion, let us start with the voting. I will instruct you. So the application, I hope you have downloaded it. Open the forum program, the forum agenda first. So I don't want to rush you. As you do it, I will explain later. So as you get into the forum agenda, select our session, press on it, and then you'll see the button voting. You'll see the voting button, enter the voting code. So select voting number 1. So the voting code is 4913, so it's 4913. The question is simple. How would you like to get damages payment in case of a car accident? Unfortunately, no one is insured against car accidents or road accidents. So the question is, in which form would you like to be paid an insurance settlement in case of a car or a road accident? So you see, people have already started voting. There are options. 1, under OSAGO contract. B, direct payment of the maintenance and repair under this OSAGO contract. And C, I have a casco agreement, full coverage, under which I would prefer to get a settlement. So we see the voting results in real time, how the results change. So there are 2 major groups. One group chooses B, option B, and the second group is split between A and C. So monetary payment, 22% stand for that. There is certainly statistical error here. And, the results are still changing. But just for the start of our conversation, it would be great to have the results of this polling. And now I would like to know the opinion of the Ministry of Finance. What is wrong about OSAGO? What do we need to change here? Alexei Vasilievich, I would like to address this question to you. What are the major areas you work on in the Ministry of Finance to improve the OSAGO rhetoric? What should be our focus of attention? Thank you. It's always easy to be the first to speak. You can speak about everything or anything at all. So I'm lucky. When I saw I was the first to speak, I just stopped preparing. But but still be cautious. I will be asking you questions. I will start from the historic comparison. We used to have a lot of people who thought if a computer were attached to Gosplan, everything would work fine, would have an ideal economy. Everyone knows a story about our great academicians, and there are a lot of jokes and anecdotes about them, but it's not about that. So great people, great brains tried to connect or apply various skills to Gosplan, being the government planning institution. They applied different technologies, but still it didn't work out well. As to OSAGO, there are two bills that are aimed at improving OSAGO as it is. Not changing, but improving. The Russian government, which adopted the strategy of insurance market development, believes that the current system requires radical reform. This radical reform idea is reflected in the strategy, which was, by the way, adopted 4 years ago. And it says that at some point in the future, we will have to leave all various forms of insurance behind and just introduce the mandatory insurance. So let me first explain the first two bills, and I believe they have all chances to be adopted and passed. I'm lucky. I'm between the two people having the same name, so I can make a wish. But it won't come true. Oh, won't it? All right. So my colleague to the right hopefully will take care of all the legal procedures around the bill adoption. So the first bill is about improving the use of the Euro protocol. So we increase the minimal benchmark of Euro protocol. It requires an agreement of both of the two participants of a road accident to get it going. So the European protocol will be also supported through GLONASS, and we can use smartphones to just launch the Euro protocol procedure. Well, I won't go into further details, but there are a lot of issues around these bills. We have discussed it with the central bank and with the Union of Russian Insurance, thinking of how to process a road accident, how to register a road accident without police, so that the two sides, the two parties can agree without the presence of a policeman. This is not an easy question, and also there is always the fear of the threat of fraud involved.
The second legislative effort, which was a good move, it's a revision of how the green card works in favor of the insurance company. When people enter the territory of the Russian Federation, they need an insurance policy issued by a Russian company, which is not convenient. Though my colleagues may disagree with me, again, the new law, which is not yet finally drafted before it is submitted to the State Duma, it's the law aiming at liberalization of this type of insurance. I'll be very brief now. What we suggest? We suggest that we make policies that differ in price. We know that there is a type of insurance which is OSAGO, but it does not work the way the way people think it works. The number of risks is reduced there, and people do not know that sometimes. So we would like to resolve this issue. Again, I repeated it many times. This is not a must for the insurance company nor for a citizen. It's a right, a mutual right. when there is a product offered by an insurance company, and if the buyer, the consumer, is willing to buy it, then may sign an OSAGO contract for 400,000 or even higher amount. Another option, again, based on goodwill of both parties that come to an agreement without imposing it in any way. If this is a product offered by an insurance company, then a person may buy it. So this is the right to offer a policy that may be valid not for 1 year, but for 3 years, for example. It may be a convenient option for the new passenger car owners because they do not have to go through an official check of the car within the first 3 years of operating the car. Of course, there's an issue of tariffication here, but again, our position is such: we offer a policy for a 3-year period, and this deal will be based on the fact that the tariff is fixed for the 3 years. Many things may change over that time, over that period of time, rates and prices, but the parties take this risk. So if they are willing, this product should be available. And another thing that we propose is reform of tariffication. We must be very cautious there. We have intense discussions on the topic now, both with the community and with the central bank and with the Ministry of Interior and even Federal Anti-Monopoly Service. And why do we want it? We want more flexibility in tariff setting. So, tariffication of what kind? First, this is a possibility to take into account the manner of driving. There should be a different tariff for those that have tickets often, that get tickets often. Unfortunately, the cameras now, they penalize the car, not the driver. When it's a case of drinking, drunk driver, then of course this is personified, but in case of a car, this will be the problem of the owner. Those who break the traffic rules should pay more. Those who abide by the law, follow the rules, they should pay less. And this may be done not at the governmental level. It may be done at the level of the insurance company. So there should be flexibility for mature drivers, for fresh drivers. That helps the companies to win the customers. And again, another point is related to the car characteristics. We said it already that the horsepowers do not influence the accident rate. But still, some technical specificity of a vehicle should be taken into consideration when the basic tariff is set. This is a rather bold action plan that we propose, but it's not going to be effective starting January the 1st of 2018. It may not happen until the year 19 because it takes to work through it very elaborately. Still, we believe that we should undertake it. Thank you, and sorry for taking so much of your time. No, that's a very good presentation. I'm a driver myself, and I know what you are talking about. You experience these things every day, and that is a very good fact, because sometimes at the level of the government or at the level of some other institutions, they make decisions, and it becomes obvious that people decide on things that they have never done in their lives. They have only theoretical understanding of the matter, and in this case, people propose something that they know inside out from their own experience. And now my question is addressed to the representative of the Ministry of Interior. I have a case. You know, once my license plates were stolen from my car. This is an old way of theft, but somehow I suffered. We called your colleagues, and we just asked them what shall one do in such a case, and we were recommended to go and to get them done again. No. It is legal now. You should not worry about that. I said, how happens? It used to be illegal. And they said, you know, once one of our tops suffered from the same situation, and he immediately lobbied in favor of this possibility. So it happens very quickly. It's very efficient when people do what they know from their real life. And now my question is to the representative of the Ministry of Interior, Mr. Vladimir Kuzin. What is the interest of the drivers themselves? Would they like this possibility to do the documentation without additional procedures? Do they really need this Euro protocol? Because, you know, I often see accidents, and these are minor accidents, but drivers still wait on the spot for the police to come. Thank you. This was an interesting comment you made. Yes, sometimes facts of our life become legends. Well, it's a legend, of course, what you referred to. It's, you know, it's an issue. When you cannot overcome a problem, you should lead the process. First of all, I must apologize for my boss, Mikhail Chernikov, who could not make it, who could not come. But unfortunately, he had to go to apologize to the press. I may act as press here. Unfortunately, they suggest things that have no backup. Because someone a few days ago published information that Sberbank will now sell passports and driver's licenses. And tomorrow, all license plates, they also published information that there will be new license plates, and now we have lots of people in a fuss to get new license plates. Someone published it, published fake numbers that next year there will be 30,000 victims. Let me tell you, you know, if we do nothing, then we do have high numbers of victims. But we do. You know, 50 million people injured annually, 1 million dies. Yes, if we do nothing, then by the year 2030, 1/3 of all deaths will be in road accidents. By today, we had 1,250,000 road accidents. But in 1,180 cases, this was just material cost, no victims. So we do have a long-term trend, and it's not. And of course, we don't like the numbers. So this trend with the road accidents in our today's reality, when we build roads, lots of them, but we do not do sufficient repairs. In many cases, people complain that they cannot find police to get service, and we still do documentation for 80% of all road accidents that have material cost only. It used to be 85, so this is an improvement. Euro protocol is a good thing. We have legislative basis for that. We plan additional actions in order to improve it. We would like to increase its penetration. Police should get involved in cases when there is substantial damage and when there are people injured or killed. This is an article that I would like to refer to. In Republic of Karelia, they undertake efforts to make this possibility more popular amongst drivers. What else can we do in order to speed up this process? In our website, gibdd.ru, we have a subsection where we explained it in detail how people should act in case of Euro protocol. And this is a site people visit often, and not only for the penalties that they might have, but also they go to the sections that are informative for them. And we have the signature of the first deputy minister on a regulation this is with the information for the people. So we do undertake efforts in order to lift part of the load off our shoulders so that people may do it without the involvement of policemen and get the insurance paid. In this part, I should say that we have supported and we do support the implementation of electronic insurance policy. You know, now we do not ask for the paper form of the policy. This is a benefit for the driver who does not have to carry many papers with him. Still, it takes to provide for the proper conditions how the insurance policy is issued. We now just use the internet to check whether the policy is valid. I believe that soon the change will be effective, and we'll have our IT system adapted for checking the policy validity. And finally, it's what we are aiming at. The penalties that I mentioned at the beginning We would love to have none, but to have no tickets issued, this is, it takes to push it hard on our people so that they follow the traffic rules. They should be economically motivated not to break the rules. And we thank our partners for doing all the explanations. If they continue pursuing their efforts, it will pay the cost once. We'll have less work as police, and insurance companies will not have their huge costs that they currently have to bear. So whatever we do together with the Ministry of Finance, together with the central bank, and together with the insurance community, companies community, it's aimed at saving people's lives first place, and to make their life easier if it happens, so it's prevention. Yes, it is prevention. Prevention requires more cameras, probably. I know it from my own experience. The fewer tickets you have, the easier is life for you. Well, for example, we stay together with a scratch on our cars. It's a minor accident, 2 scratches on cars, and I suggest that let us go. He says, no, I should stay. What shall we do in this case? It is the result of insufficient knowledge. Once people get their driving license, they forget what traffic rules are about. The Ministry of Education have made amendments to the training course. They now include the issues, the curriculum about the Euro protocol in the training course. The insurers, when they give you the insurance policy, when they do that, they should remind you of how you act in case of an accident.
We do the same. There are traffic rules, and it clearly says what the person should do. So the person just calls the police, and the police officer on duty asks what has happened. If it's a small thing, it's a scratch, he or she advises the person, please do not wait, process the protocol, and act accordingly. If the person insists that he or she wants to have the police in place, we have to come. But once again, we do not have enough people. We have other things to attend to. In this audience, I can clearly say that to get a document from the police, people do the same, do the following. They call the ambulance, and the police has to come along. But in the end, people have to wait for hours. So there is a lot to do to educate people, to explain how they should behave, to encourage them to act independently. Thank you, Vladimir Viktorovich. Let me turn to the Deputy Minister of Transport. Here is my question to him. Because we discuss how to make this process, this procedure, convenient and good for everyone, let me remind you that starting January 2018, drivers should start using GLONASS. It's a good and handy thing. It should be, at least. So as we process a car accident by the European protocol, the data is expected to be transmitted directly to the insurer. So those data go there. My question is, what do you do to improve the GLONASS system? Do you think we'll be ready to start using it in early January? Do you believe the situation on the roads will be better Certainly, we won't be able to avoid all road accidents, but probably it will make it easier to process the accident. Thank you for the question. Thank you for inviting me into this discussion. Let me bridge my comments to the ones expressed by my colleagues. Yes, it's true, people do not want to leave the place of a road accident. They use every pretext to invite a police officer, which is not the right thing. It worsens the traffic situation on the roads. We are thinking to introduce penalties and fines for those who hinder road traffic. But number one thing is to eradicate the reason why people want to have the police officer at the place of a road accident. I guess it's because there is lack of trust in the process of registering a road accident. People are afraid that the insurer will later refuse to reimburse the losses. You also mentioned implementation of GLONASS. Yes, it's true. Originally, we set most of our hopes on this system. This is the all-Russian system. So, and we are ahead of the whole planet in this regard. Yes, we want all cars to be equipped with GLONASS devices. Originally, this system was designed to support people in need in a road accident, so that emergency services could come over and rescue people within this so-called golden hour and save the life of the driver and his or her passengers. This was the noble goal of the GLONASS system. But when we walk too fast, when we are too fast in doing something, when we try to introduce such things, it doesn't work out well. I've just come back from Vladivostok. What we saw there is that producers were not always ready to install those sensors, those devices, and the cars had to be detained at the customs. So Vladivostok is full of ads of a known political party. I won't tell you which one. So those advertisement billboards say, let's make the road traffic safe. Yes, it's a good slogan. It is mandatory. But as we talk about payment of damages, the question is, are there alternatives to GLONASS? Are there other ways to register the consequences of a road accident, the place of a road accident, and all the information associated with it? Is there any other way to do it? People say, yes, there is. Both the insurance and the users, the IT industry representatives say this. Well, are they Yandex and Google? Yandex and Google are global systems, but the users are subscribers of mobile networks with smartphones, which have basically substituted ordinary phones. So those smartphones have a lot of functions, audio, video, recording, identifying the geographical position, and many other functions. So users would rather prefer using those smartphones to have their road accidents registered. So the law mentioned, or the bill mentioned by our first speaker, and the amendments that are being prepared for consideration of the State Duma, it has been approved by the Ministry of Transport. And this bill and those amendments, they also include various options of using various devices for road accident recording. It could be like different ways of registering an accident. So together with the developers of together with the software developers, the Ministry of Transport is trying to define requirements both to the cars and to the devices in order to expand the options of road accident recording, so that the user and the driver could, by connecting to this application or buying a car with an integrated device and sensor, knows for sure that with all these devices, he or she can have the road accident registered in case there is a road accident. And eventually he or she will get a reimbursement. The damages will be covered without the participation of a police officer. This is our main goal. Our goal, the goal of the industry regulators. So we need to make this amendment good enough so that everybody is happy with it, and so that the devices required are not expensive. If the person doesn't have an integrated recorder in his car, to avoid the situation in Vladivostok, we don't want the car owners to make an extra effort to have this device installed. He or she could be using a mobile application on a mobile device. So the original idea was good. An integrated device is more accurate, can better record a road accident and the place of an accident and the fact of an accident. Because mobile devices, they record the consequences of a road accident, not the accident itself. So our goal is to align technical matters with legal intricacies and also take advantage of the technological progress. So we say that those devices should comply with the technical regulation of the European Union. We have introduced 3 national standards which are in line with the European standards. They will be introduced in the overall national standard system. We want this to start working, to be popular with the market, on the market. This will serve as a strong impetus for using the European protocol everywhere, not only in big cities, but across the country. Let me clarify. So there are technologies, there are tools, but the question is about clear definitions, which you are working on. Yes, absolutely right. By the end of the year, we're expected to finalize those definitions and submit them to the government for its consideration. In the end, car owners will get a cheap and optional, will get a cheap device that would guarantee a 100% damage coverage. So they can be confident that the damages will be paid. So we are moving towards a modern era. So we are working to implement good things for the people. So we're thinking about the time when technical devices could replace police officers. So a mobile, we will certainly need a mobile application for it. ERA GLONASS requires this. We have a huge market of secondary cars, of used cars, and it will certainly take time before all cars are equipped with appropriate devices. This is why there should be an option of using a mobile device. So you are striving towards some reasonable redundancy, as I understand. As to the regulatory framework, we should certainly discuss rates. Let me appeal to the representative of the Central Bank, Igor Zhukov, Director of the Insurance Department of the Bank of Russia, of the Central Bank of Russia. Here is my question about the rates. What difficulties do you anticipate here as we discuss OSAGO rates? Consumers are most interested to know this, and they're getting very emotional about it as well. So what can the central bank offer here? How perfect are the mechanisms as we suggest new changes? Thank you, Alexei, for this opportunity to talk, and thank you for the Ministry of Finance to have this forum. Just for you to sleep quietly, the Bank of Russia will do everything right and define the OSAGO rate appropriately and make it transparent. My colleagues have already discussed it. I think they mentioned what they mentioned. We're fully aligned with what they've been saying. We would like the market to be liberated, and we would like the market to define the rates, OSAGO rates. The law has been in place for 14 years, 2 months and 8 days, just for you to understand. Well, actually, we use metro a lot, as recommended by the mayor of Moscow. Back to the rates. The rates must protect property interests. Property must be protected. No matter what the tariff is, it should be appropriate and available. Some time ago, people couldn't buy an OSAGO insurance policy. So rates should also ensure availability and easy access. Yes, companies need to be economically interested in developing it. If not, the insurers must be interested. If not, who would develop this insurance market? Also, the balance of interest was mentioned, because if we put too much pressure somewhere, we will certainly see the impact of that. Electronic insurance policies. We have 3.9 million policies. We sold them over the past 8 months and 7 days. Let me remind you that in the previous 18 months, we sold over 300,000 policies. So this has been a huge step forward. So we see that up to 40% of all insurance policies are electronic. But we know that in some places of Russia, it's not easy to get hold of them. But we'll work on it. Well, those companies which do not support electronic policies, they will be penalized. I promise you. But we have made a good start. Back to the rates, back to your question. The Bank of Russia forgets nothing. So the innovation suggested by the Ministry of Finance, they require perfection. It's also about the launch period. A simple thing like that, horsepower of car engines. Remember how we did it, how we calculated it. But over the past time, we have accumulated certain statistics and see that car horsepower shouldn't affect the rates. Well, this is sensitive. This may become very sensitive for a certain part of our car owners. On the one hand, we want rates to be transparent. On the other hand, at this launch period, we do not want to have too much commotion about it and too much probably public opinion. For example, a simple thing like this. So tracking speed is a good thing, but tracking people without policies is another thing, and it's not an easy technical challenge. So imagine a camera has registered exceeding a speed limit. Here is your fine. It's good. It's a good discipline, but at the same time, people never believed that drivers could have been penalized for not using a safety belt. It happened. It became a norm. So people do get fined for not using a safety belt. But originally, nobody believed it. Two more important things here. Settlement of damages, 62%. It's a good voting result. So this should also be taken into account. Probably we will feel it in 2018 after the election. And the second thing is about liberalization. We do need a roadmap. We also need to rely on some international experience. Why would we invent a bicycle? We should rely on the already existing experience. We can copy the experience of other countries. Back in 2001, we went to Germany, to the freshly united Germany, and we saw a lot of interesting things there. Liberated tariffs, that's what they had in Germany. They still have it too. Why is liberalization such a difficult topic? Let me give you some numbers, unique numbers, by the way. Depending on the region, the situation is very different. The average payment of damages around 78,000 in one region, and in the other region it could be as high as 150,000 rubles. As to court proceedings, well, in some regions, a lot of people go to court because they do not get damages. In some people, they do not. So there is a lot of divergence across the country. And also there is fraud. So the bank will take care of that as well, the central bank. We do have a department in the bank that deals with protection of consumer rights. So it's not a threat, but I only say that we need to have a mechanism for that.
And for supporting your optimism. We do not fully share the opinion of the Ministry of Finance, but if we have time, I suggest that we together should start coordinating it, providing for the availability, affordability, balance of interests, and the interest of the market. Yuri Nikolaevich, I do not know whom should I fear more, the special troopers or the Bank of Russia. We compete here. That was my guess to Igor Yuryevich. Let us dilute this optimism of these governmental officials. They want to improve it and they work hard on it, but the insurance market is special and the representatives of the insurance companies have their own opinions on that. They have their own responses. So what is your assessment of the today's status in the OSAGO market? This is a catastrophe, a calamity that is not lethal yet. However, for one company, that was a lethal case, and the rescue was possible only through intense care by the central bank. Don't put such strong terms. Yes, they still saved the life. Two regulators present here, two representatives present here. They're so progressive people, good people. I wouldn't like to oppose them here. Yes, indeed, the whole issue of OSAGO that we have had for 14 years. We had no problem for 11 years. We estimated the tariff and it worked for 10 years without any problem. Then the US dollar issue, the fraud And now we have this problem of the past years when we have to combat it at the top level. Smith, Ricardo, Samuelson, Siluanov, Nabiulina, they all agree that this is the result of the tariff liberalization. From the experience of Western countries, so what would happen? Liberalization will lead to a rapid upward trend, but then the insurers will hunt for the customers. Now it's similar to the situation that we had food shortage in the Soviet time, when good meat was hidden from the customers, stored for special customers. Now we have it everywhere. It's anyone can buy it. So it's a matter of regulation. The Baltic states, they also had regulated tariffs. When they were to join the EU, that was the requirement. They were reluctant to liberate the tariff. They had to, because that was the condition. They did it, and it worked. Now the insurers hunt for the customers. So liberalization is the clue, is the remedy. We hear from the Ministry of Finance and the Central Bank that liberalization is not possible unless we resolve a number of issues. Yes, indeed. If we do that, in Volgograd, yes, it's average. It's 80,000 in average, when the average tariff is 5,000 something across the country. In average pay, it's 80,000. They keep scaring us, making us fear the rebellion, but there will be none. The community, without taking any money of the government, electronic OSAGO, OSAGO grant, OSAGO in kind, in the form of repair, complete change of the system of bonus coefficient, new electronic system compatible to that operated by our colleagues from the Ministry of Interior. We do a lot. We're not always fast. We are not always fair. Sometimes we play hypocrites. It happens sometimes in our community. But in order not to do small repairs, but to do a major breakthrough, a major maintenance instead, we need it. OSAGO gradually becomes a basic casco, and the insurer decides with the insured on a number of matters, how much this costs and this costs. If you are a bad driver, if you have many violations, well, there are really progressive things contained here, and in the overall guidelines are very beneficial for both car owners and the insurers. But the devil is in details. The Ministry of Finance says, okay, we'll approve it, and the rest will be decided by Igor Nikolaevich, whether they extend the tariff or not. It may be higher, it may be lower. So Igor Nikolaevich, of course, he will be reducing that. He will not. We will not allow you to increase that, neither before the elections nor after the elections. My dear ones, it's not a matter of money, it's a matter of souls, big souls that you have. If dear regulators come to an understanding how they should move towards liberalization, synchronize their actions in tariffing, in corridor, in how to decide that, whether the horsepower should matter, whether not, whether the region should matter or not. We come to Volgograd and we understand that it's a totally different region, same Dagestan. So in our opinion, it should matter. But again, it may be discussed. The main idea, liberalization, is supported no other way across the country, but it should be done step by step. It's the same as GLONASS era. When they promised promised it to us first, back in 2015, every car equipped by this small box. Now we are, this is almost the eve of 2018, only 1.5 million cars out of 55 million will have this small box just in case of a bad injury, so that the man may press the button and the rescue will come. GLONASS comes to us and asks us to impose these boxes in the secondary market. It's claiming that it would be good for all. 6,000 per box. So we're criticized for 5,000 per insurance policy, and now we have to impose a cost of another 6,000 on a customer. So GLONASS looks doubtful to us. Mobility. The photo cameras cover 60% of the territory. What shall we do about the remaining 40%? Again, we go into a very vague area. It's cloudy. We do respect you as regulators, but we need discussion of. We need to discuss it. It's on increasing and decreasing coefficient. This was written in the first memorandum that we received. It's a memorandum. It's not the law yet. Vladimir Putin said that our only possibility in under sanctions is to release business and let them run. You know, I climbed this rather doubtful height, and I remember the situation when a delegation of your colleagues came and said that, yeah, well, this is the end of the world, this is total catastrophe, and they came and said that please take the political hit, and but it didn't work. I may confuse the sequence. Let it not be 5 days, let it be 10 days, and that will be great. This is the only thing that makes us unhappy. Let us raise the tariff 2 times, 40%. The central bank assumed political responsibility for that. It didn't work well either. Let us introduce this in-kind thing. When this was done, we had many discussions about it. But again, this was political responsibility again that we assumed of the Minister of Finance, of the central bank. So we did it all, and you still have a catastrophe. It's still a calamity for you. So let us do something for the last time. And that will be the end of it. And if it doesn't work for you either, then we just step away. For making life easier, you may just submit your license. Why take the pain? You know, life is vibrant. We initially had it strictly regulated. Now we go towards market-regulated thing. Again, I apologize for stepping in again. You know, Alexei, he's a smart guy. He mentioned this well-known joke at the very beginning, when it all starts with a music hall, and it all ends with a music hall. So wherever you go, you get into the same place. And it reminded me not about the Gretchov's attempts, but even the predecessors of Gretchov. Let's do something for the time being. When we are through it, we'll do something else. All that I heard today makes me confident in just one thing: we should move towards liberalization. The last words make me confident that we'll survive in the market economy, and after the elections of 2018, the real liberalization will start. The other actions, let me remind you, in 2003, 200 companies got their licenses. And did you hear about any OSAGO claims in 2005? You did not. Good. It all started when the ruble fell and the tariff became not sufficient to offset the cost, to cover the cost. And then the claims started. 10 days in kind. They saved OSAGO, but it's minus 140 companies. So there are only 60 remained. 2 more licenses were withdrawn yesterday, and these were large companies like Uralsib, VTB Insurance. They don't want to deal with OSAGO. So there's nothing basically wrong about us piece by piece, rescuing these species for the market. If we want to do it, you may give it in the hands of Rosgostrach, and you will subsidize it. You have a nationalized company, a huge one with a huge network. However, Elvira Nabiullina said it today, as long as I am the chairman of the central bank, and Mr. Siluanov said it, as long as I'm the Minister of Finance, there will be no subsidies like this. The market is not similar to the state monopoly. So the music hall will be a logical result. I suggest that we vote again. Please go to your apps again and do the same thing. First, you go into programs, current session, which is titled OSAGO, poll button, and enter 7493. 7493. This is the third question. Why third? Because we just discussed it. We'll take number 2 later. The question number 3 is the following: what approach to liberalization of OSAGO tariffs do you prefer? 4 options. As you vote, I'll voice them. Cancel the regulation of insurance tariffs completely. Let the insurers set a part of the insurance tariff coefficient, extending their possibility to apply the tariff corridor. It will suffice to extend the tariff corridor, and liberalization of OSAGO tariffs is not needed today. So these are the 4 options. And if you don't want to do it with an app, think Just think about that. Answer number one is obviously winning, which is completely reject, cancel the regulation of insurance tariffs, which is complete liberalization per se. The options 2 and 4, letting the insurers to extend the corridor. 1/3 voted for that. And number 4, liberalization not needed. We have 2 people who believe that it is so. Nobody voted for the option number 3. I'll continue collecting the opinions of the market players, not officials, because I believe that we should listen to every party here. So my next question will be addressed to Nikolai Ternikov. Nikolai Ternikov, General Director of LLC Glavstrach-Stroy, President of the Association of the Protection of the Insurers. Under the current conditions, when the system is being reformed, it is very important to protect the interests of the insurers. We need a good system of balances and offsets. What is important, in your opinion? What should be done? How we increase the trust of customers towards OSAGO?
I will talk about renovation, among other things. It's good when we have car owners who know what happens when there is a road accident. There are some things here to mention. Number one is that passengers in a car, they do not deal with the settlement of a car accident. Also, once every 15 years, a car owner faces the need to deal with an insurance company. I developed a mobile application. It is called OSAGO, and its goal is to make the life of car owners easier. So here I open my OSAGO policy and read about the Euro protocol. So it includes over 100 checkpoints, basically check boxes. So I visited 6 road accidents along with 3 of my colleagues, and we had great difficulty of filling out that European protocol. We helped the car owners fill in the blanks. Imagine a car owner who sees this paperwork. This is what should not be. So when did you eventually learn how to fill it out? With the 6th accident, yes. But, you know, I say on average, a car accident occurs every 15 years with a given car owner. So if it's a 6th one, that means you should be 90 by now. What I'm trying to say that over the past 6 years, this paperwork hasn't changed, which is unbelievable. Companies introduce changes every month, every hour, and here we haven't seen any changes at all. Even with OSAGO, we have seen more changes. The European Protocol of 2003, and when I compare it with the current protocol, they added 4 more checkboxes. So the protocol has become even more difficult, even more complex. So this mobile application that I suggest, that I have developed, has only 5 checkboxes. So in this mobile application, you get a form with your information, your personal information in it, and the information on your car. So the car owner facing a road accident does not need to fill out all this information. A person is in a stress already, and also he's expected to check whether the second party to the road accident has an OSAGO policy. My message here is that we cannot improve this situation without technology. Otherwise, the interaction with an insurance company will not change. There is lack of confidence in insurance companies. So what we have now is very bad user experience. And this bad user experience makes a car owner think about how to protect his or her own personal interests, not personal property interests. We have a lot of good ideas, and we have advanced much further than the Union. We're ready to share this. We have a robot that helps settle a road accident according to the European protocol. Over 8,500 people have downloaded this application. So here is my example. My user experience begins at 4 p.m. and it takes me less than 1 minute to process the form. It's not the Euro protocol with 100 checkboxes. So we're ready to share our ideas, our software development. But this pace of change is unacceptable in modern world, because this is the most painful thing. A car owner in a car accident is stressed, and suddenly he gets this European protocol and sees those 100 empty check boxes. So the first thing to do certainly is to call the police and ask a policeman to do all the paperwork. This is only natural. Therefore, the European protocol hasn't worked because the user experience was really bad. So today, if you have a smartphone, you can have the application downloaded. The smartphone and mobile penetration in our country is deep enough. So the paper European protocol should go. And also the protocol should contain as few checkboxes as possible. And the general information should be pre-filled. This is what our application does for you. Only after car owners begin getting new and good user experience, we can make the system attractive and easy to use. Thank you so much. Sergei Kanaev, head of Federation of the Car Owners of Russia. I would like you to share your experience and your knowledge. Well, once again, thank you to the Ministry of Finance for the invitation. I think we had a similar assembly back in 2012. I have a feeling that people here are kind of detached from the reality. I say this because I see the voting results. I know here we have a lot of insurance company representatives. I'm afraid that voting results would be much different if we had this voting among general public. Let me talk about cause and effect. We have a government regulation which regulates insurance premiums and insurance fees. 80% go to pay the damages, and only 20% should go to the insurance companies, to the reserve and compensation funds. If the insurers are not happy, let's do as follows, and this is what we suggested from the very start. People do not argue that, but they say it's not possible before the election. People say the situation cannot be changed, but nobody wants to take responsibility. But why did we put the cart before the horse? Well, the insurers want to make more money. This is business. But when the insurers say we are loss-making and nobody can understand the calculations, the situation will be here forever, because everyone will protect its own interests. But here I saw one person who said the right words. He said, we need a road map. We need an expert council to form the right understanding in this audience. The understanding of OSAGO, the way we understand it, because each group of people understands OSAGO differently. We can speak about Eric Glona's Euro Protocol and many other things, but all this has nothing to do with OSAGO, because we fail to reach consensus. We do not know which next step should we make. A lot depends on the election, of course. So the will of business wants to benefit. They don't care about the insurers. The insurance wants their clients to be loyal. They want citizens to trust them. Let's look at it closer. When the federations are not ready to agree, let me ask you, here we have the Deputy Minister of Finance, Alexey Vladimirovich, has anyone tried to discuss it? Everyone we've talked to, it was at the session of the central bank. Yes, Mr. Zhuk made a proposal. But what happened? The insurers' lobby does what they want to protect the insurers' interests. Everyone understands that it's all about the election. The insurers are not in a good position. We understand that. Our last conversation with the management of RCA was about risks. Yes, the risks were high, and the insurance are concerned. Why is there no trust? Because nobody wants to speak up and say what each party wants to reach. Our suggestion is, let us sit down at the table to negotiate, first to understand what OSAGO is and what we want to achieve. Liberalization of rates of OSAGO. We have mandatory car insurance. We draw examples of Latvia and Estonia. Why don't we mention that they have voluntary OSAGO? Well, there is nothing funny about it. I started with the word of trust. Let's begin with trust. Let's understand what we want and what we would like to achieve. The Minister of Finance made a very good proposal about 3 types of rates, 3 types of tariffs. There was a suggestion to link the insurance to the owner, not the car, because it enhances the level of reliability, of responsibility. So 3 types of insurance. One of the types is premium class insurance. Not instead, but in addition to, why don't we introduce an attractive service of ensuring the liability of the owner himself or herself? This would serve to enhance confidence with the insurance on behalf of the public. One tactical tip, not strategic, but it may affect the confidence in the OSAGO system. No one has mentioned here that insured people and who face the other road accident party without an OSAGO, they run a very strong, a very big problem. A lot of big insurance companies, Let me also say that we have good insurance on the insurance market, not only fraudulent dealers. Good insurance companies do help people, but we need to enhance oversight to make sure people are not denied insurance payment, settlement of damages. Some people do nothing. Some people buy fake insurance policies. But in big cities, people refuse to buy insurance policies. They say, why would we do that? We will not get a settlement in case of a road accident. Well, we may get to a point of no return when even citizens in good standing will stop insuring their cars. Yes, we can introduce some punitive measures, but it won't build more confidence in the insurance market. Yes, insurers have their own interests. I want them to work more on the loyalty of the citizens. RCA, I would like to wish them to put more order in their organization. As to the central bank, I have a small comment for you as well about processing of the European protocol. Yes, people are afraid to process it because they don't know how to do it, and the insurers do not accept the European protocol. These are the smallest issues, and Eric GLONASS has nothing to do with it. 50% of all people do not leave the place of a road accident because the administrative code says that if you leave the place of a road accident, you may lose your driver's license for 18 months. So people have faced such issues. So if the second party leaves the place of the road accident, there could be no way to get him back and to get the money back. So this last comment was good. But let me ask you something, although you've had a very emotional speech. Yeah. So the Minister of Finance does not need any protection. We're an open agency. As a representative of mass media, I suggest that we can put this information on the website just to get a fair picture of the situation. My question is, do you know an ideal country, a country with an ideal car insurance system? Do you know of it? Well, I know what I would like to see in this country. But also, I want everyone to be liable, each agency to be liable for the steps they take. What we need is a roadmap. If something doesn't work, we will better understand how to reform it. Otherwise, if there is no roadmap, if there is no tracking of the steps, there will be no liability. Nobody could be held liable for the steps taken. Thank you. Simply, a lot of people come and say, this is bad, that is bad, and I always try to understand, are there places on earth where the situation is better? I understand your position. We shouldn't look at anyone. We should just improve what we have. Let us continue analyzing the situation on the market. So analysts who deal with such assessment, let me introduce Managing Director of Expert RA, Mr. Yanin. Could you please describe your vision of the situation. What is wrong about the OSAGO system? What is your outlook? What are the trends that you see? What is changing? Good evening, dear colleagues. So I'm armed with numbers. I won't be emotional. In my speech, I will provide you with the facts and numbers. Two major ratios which demonstrate the efficiency of OSAGO. The loss-making ratio is one thing, which demonstrates how loss-making or profit-making the insurance is. We have reviewed the results, the performance of the top 10 insurance companies.
9 companies out of the top 10 companies in the market show loss in OSAGO. 5 out of these 10 have this indicator growth for more than 10 percentage points if we compare against year 17. 2 out of top 10 insurers, leaders in OSAGO market, this indicator went beyond 100%. I speak about the loss coefficient. It's just sheer insurance policy price and premium paid. The numbers speak for themselves, and there you should add the additional costs that the insurers bear. So the combined loss coefficient amongst the market leaders was with 7. 3 companies out of 10 market leaders managed to reduce this coefficient or keep it flat. But due to a considerable drop down in their spendings on administration of it. 4 companies out of top 10 have combined loss coefficient of more than 100%. So for them, it's a complete loss in these operations. We use our own benchmarks as well. They are not the market average. They are the benchmarks of the agency. And for them, we average the indicators of the insurers that we use for benchmarking market. It's plus 6.2% in the first 6 months of 2016. First 6 months of year 17 as compared to the first 6 months of year 16. And the benchmark simple loss coefficient, it's 7.2. Increase. So what we see in the OSAGO market for the majority of companies, this goes beyond the critical measurements. One more thing, many insurers, they have a diversified portfolio, so they may offset their OSAGO loss with their other revenues. However, there is a very negative trend here too. We looked into their complete portfolios. We took the market leaders and saw that it grew for 8 out of 10. And for 2, the combined coefficient, 3. For 3, it was beyond 100%. So 3 market leaders could not compensate for the OSAGO losses from their other operations. These are very scary numbers. We, as the agency, have to reduce the ratings of these insurance companies. And it's a shame some companies leave OSAGO market. Some do that voluntarily. Some are forced to. We have 2 major cases this year when the license was withdrawn. Unfortunately, all that signals that OSAGO market is a major threat for the whole insurance market. So this fight for the quality of assets, it's still ongoing. It's not reinsurance. OSAGO today is a key problem, and those insurance companies that do not work with OSAGO in general, they feel a lot better, they have fewer problems, and they have higher ratings because they are more stable. And those who have a lot of OSAGO in their portfolio, with a rare exception, they suffer. They have a very difficult situation. Thank you, Alexei Yevgenyevich. This is a very gloomy picture. So, Alexei Gennadievich. You are the deputy, the representative of the legislator. On the other hand, you are the deputy, you represent the people, and you also represent the Committee of the Financial Market. You know how these function and some components of them. So we have an interesting initiative from the Ministry of Finance. We have some comments from the car owners, and this is why they do not go away, fearing criminal penalty, administrative prosecution. So we may summarize it now. May we expect some help from the legislator here? Well, I would like to say that in the State Duma, we have arguments of all participants, the representatives of car owners, of the authorities, of the insurance market. When we adopted the law, when we were to adopt the law on repair in kind, we listened to all parties, and we believe that we made a well-reasoned and balanced decision then, which would do a lot of good to the market, and the loss ratio will become a lot lower than in the preceding period. So at least the first signals that we get prompts us that the situation is changing, not with all, but it still changes for the better. I would suggest that the central bank should organize the work with the regions. I participated in one event attended by the governor, a person from the regional government responsible for the transport, a man who had authority. There were judges involved, prosecution, Ministry of Interior, experts, also representatives of the car owners, and there they had some settlement in place. They debated the actions that should be taken in order to have balance, to do it efficiently. And what I saw in Nizhny Novgorod, that was a very good and business-like discussion, which could, if we do that in Volgograd and Dagestan, that may help too. It's when the federal authorities discuss things together with the regional authorities, when decisions are made, it has effect. Then there will be less fraud and less loss caused by fraud. As for the proposition of the Ministry of Finance, as for the Euro Protocol, we are going to discuss the draft law, not during our next session, but during the next session after the nearest one. by December it may be adopted, and that will be a possibility to use all possible means to register the accident, including the mobile application. As for the liberalization, this is a difficult issue. This needs the involvement of the State Duma. And as for the liberalization, everybody say that the tariffs will be raised. It may be subjective or objective, no matter. But it will be very difficult to persuade the deputies of the need to increase the tariff. So you should not be, you should not deceive yourselves here. So in the second part, we should not wait for the elections. We may liberalize the tariff policy for the increased limits for the bad injury cases and so on. So this will be the for the insurers to persuade the customers that one may have higher compensation, but then you have to pay more. And once they have some examples, good examples, that would be easier for them to pursue the liberalization that they want. And a few more points. The financial ombudsman we are debating it now. We believe that starting next year, we'll implement this, and there will be more consumers of the service, and then it will be easier to debate liberalization. And I know it from central bank that the central bank has to consider the complaints about OSAGO on a daily basis. Financial ombudsman may resolve it. I believe that this fall will consider a law, at least the first reading of the draft, with the draft on bailout for the insurance companies, and that is how we act in order to save the market, which faces a very uneasy situation. We have a representative of the Ministry of Interior. Well, if this is a legislative problem, it may be resolved fairly easily. There may be different circumstances of the accident, and there may be different damage to the car or to the person. So together with the Ministry of Interior, we might debate this topic, but it needs some solution. In fact, Sergei, you emphasized it a bit too much. Leaving the accident place, people may do that only in the specifically clear cases. The rest is not allowed. So we should not link these two things directly. But this is a debatable topic. Yes, I agree. And it's in the context. You know, when a person has an accident, they suffer from stress and judging whether I can leave or not, being overstressed. You know, if one case like this becomes known, that prevents 100,000 from doing. People, once they get trapped like this, they normally report the case in the sites, and people stop going away. And there is international practice, and I'm a participant myself. Did you leave? Did you leave then? No, they hit me in the rear. Made photos. The rear bumper, they made photos, they forwarded them to the insurance company, and then we just left. No police involved. The matter is that I saved some money on insurance policy. They still charged me for the franchise, though it was not my fault, but they repaid me the money. It took us no more than 15 minutes. Thank you. Unfortunately, we have run out of time, and we have one more voting. But I ask you to vote once again. If the colleagues from the Ministry of Finance do not object, we may repeat this voting. But I would like us to vote. Question number 2. Again, you enter programs. You go into our session, OSAGO. Uh, 6295 is the code. The choice of what conditions should be available for the insurer, for the insured when they enter a OSAGO contract. The choice, choosing the form of reimbursement cost to the vehicle of the opponent, choice of one or several possibilities to establish the amount, choosing the period of the insurance contract validity. It may be more than 1 year. The possibility to apply telematic devices that provide for the characteristics fixation to get a discount for cautious driving. None of the above conditions should be offered, should be the subject of choosing. Choice of 1 out of 3. We have a split of opinions here. We can do it again with better sampling. Can you summarize? I have a local comment. First, I would like to draw your attention to the following. Everybody agreed that certain choice should be granted to the customer, and I would like you to put it in your website. Yes, we should do it when OSAGO matter is debated. A person should not choose between term and amount. So this should allow for more than one answer. Then we would have a better picture in terms of objectivity. For me, it was a very good forum. I enjoyed it because the often complain that we at Ministry of Finance, we are taking a path that provides for the balance of interests. I wouldn't go into details commenting on specific comments. This was a very good discussion. Some comments were very good. We always go public with all our discussions. And you probably remember that we had public discussions more than once together with the Bank of Russia. It was all about OSAGO reforms when we planned them. And of course, we'll do nothing before we see society consensus in the broader sense. Thank you very much. I thank all the discussion participants. Sorry for the delay. You may watch the discussion in the forum website and maximum repost. I encourage you to do that. There will be video, and the discussion will continue, but in virtual